Hey, everybody. March 7th, Scott Riley with the Market Update Desk, powered by Mortgage One. Coming at you from the home den office, not my real office, as that's still completely torn up from the water damage. So we're trying to be as flexible and as possible with everything going on at our house and keeping up to date with everything. Today is the day before the all important BLS jobs report tomorrow. So we want to go over what's going on today with some important things and prepping for tomorrow's jobs number. Today we had Chairman Powell's uh, planned speech before the Senate. He had his House of Representatives speech yesterday in Q&A. Today is the Senate speech, prepared statements, and Q&A. So I did watch a lot of the Q&A. And as with anything, once you get into politics, there was a lot of division among the questions that were given by the applicable senators. Obviously, a lot of that was political in nature from one side to the other. There were actually a couple of really good questions that were presented out there that I was a little impressed with. And I don't say that easily with politics. So I wanted to go through it. Within everything, some of the questions, and I believe it was from Senator J.D. Vance from Ohio, if I'm not mistaken, talked about the question regarding Basel III proposed rules that has to do with banking rules in regards to not only stress tests, but liquidity requirements for different tiers of banks. There's about four different tiers of banks, depending on size, and there's different liquidity requirements and stress test requirements that they have to have. And the initial proposal that's been out there, probably for a little while now, Chairman Powell talked about there needs to be substantial structural change to that proposal so that it doesn't have negative effects based on banking lending capacity and consumers' access to lending. So we had two different sides of the coins. We had Senator Vance talk about that. We had our good friend, Senator Elizabeth Warren, go to the very opposite side of that. She's definitely what you'd refer to as a hawk versus a dove. So it was interesting to see the two different sides there. Chairman Powell actually made some good comments, and a lot of his statements were lawyerese talk. After all, he is a trained lawyer, not a trained economist, but it actually came off pretty good, settled the market in preparation for tomorrow's BLS jobs report. The main comment that came out from Chairman Powell was reducing policy restraints too late or too little could lead to undue weakness in economic activity and employment. So we do understand finally that the Fed is recognizing the aspects of what they're doing and if they're going to be too little, too late to the show for reducing rates. We've talked about it. There's only a certain number of meetings left to reduce the Federal Reserve rate before the election. I think we're down to four. Yesterday we talked about they're planning on probably two different non-consecutive drops of a quarter point. Now, if we start to see that unemployment rate get above that 4.2%, we could see a different velocity of rate reductions. So we're very curious on how that's going to go. They also talked about starting to analyze quantitative tightening, or QT, and the runoff from the balance sheet. So those things were talked about that they're going to address at this next meeting coming up in March. So the good things to hear. When we also look at things that happened today, this morning, the European Central Bank, ECB, did announce that they are seeing less inflationary pressure than what they forecasted. I believe down to 2.3% compared to what they expected at 2.7%. Initially gave a little bit of lift to the bond market that did fade as we got into Chairman Powell's comments and Q&A sessions. Tomorrow we get the big lion for the month, which is the BLS jobs report. Now remember back in January, there was substantially higher than expected job growth that came really from seasonal adjustments and part-time work. So it's going to be very interesting where tomorrow comes in. Now, the concerning part with tomorrow's report is the data that they're accruing came from a sample week, which was a holiday week. So we have a little bit of concerns that the actual number for February for jobs is going to come in a little bit hotter than expected. expected is 200,000. We're thinking it's going to come in a little bit higher than that, maybe 230, 240, 250. But I think we're going to see an equivalent decrease or revision to the January numbers. So we're going to get this kind of yo-yo effect, we think. The bond market today has held its own. We actually gained some down. We're down to about 4.12%. Now we're down about 15 basis points from our height in the bond market. And over the last 5 days, we've actually seen about a 60, 70 point rise in the mortgage-backed securities to give us some better pricing. So that's always good news. We'll stay on top tomorrow of everything. Senior analyst Mr. Gibson is excited about all the contractors coming in because he gets to see new friends. He's resting right now in anticipating getting that pencil out, working on those jobs numbers tomorrow. We'll do the in-depth analysis of not just the headline information, but we'll dig deep for you so that you have the information. We're working here for you. The Market Update Desk, as always, is your original singular source for market news in the West Michigan area. We thank you for watching this. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Have a great afternoon. 616-293-2189.